Hey, it's Brock here from Rock Hill Farms, and I'm out here to do some clearing, kind of cutting trails on this 40-acre property. I'm gonna jump on the tractor, and I think the first thing we're gonna do is work the trail down here at the bottom of the ravine. Then we're gonna try to make it up the steep part of the hill, and up there is a deer stand and kind of a shooting range, and I'm gonna try to cut all that. Should be a fun day. Overall, this was a really challenging project where I was working with a lot of big material on some tough hillsides, but the first few passes were pretty boring. So let's skip ahead to taking the steep trail to the top of the hill. This is one of those times where it's really hard to show on camera just how steep this was. All told, this is a 200-foot elevation increase. So he's got a deer stand right over there, and he wants all of this cleared. And I think I can do it, but it's pretty treacherous because there's a lot of logs down and we're still on a hill. So whenever you run over a log you didn't see and you're on a hill, that's when you're in danger of tipping over. So this is a fairly long video, and 95% of it is just brush cutting, but I want to take just a second and jump on a soapbox, if that's alright. The last few weeks I've been getting a ton of comments on my sawmilling video and a tree felling video, and there's some people complaining about us cutting down trees, and I just can't overemphasize how misguided those comments are. I can assure you, people like myself and this property owner are not damaging the environment. To begin with, there's no shortage of trees on my property or this one. I'm probably preaching to the choir with most of the audience watching this video, but if you have a wooded area on your property, you need to do a certain amount of maintenance to it for the health of the wildlife and the future of the timber. I already had an understanding that having too many mature trees can create a canopy that blocks sunlight from getting down to the rest of the plants, and that the only way to keep new trees growing is to thin the older trees. But this property owner walked me around and showed me some invasive species that are damaging this wooded area, and showed me how the wildlife travels and really cares about proper maintenance of this property. For instance, a lot of what I'm cutting right now is buckbrush, which the property owner doesn't like, but he leaves a lot of it because the birds eat it. And it's not their preferred food either, but during certain times of year, they depend on that. So he's looking not just at what his preference is, but the entire ecosystem. So I'm driving along on the brush hog and I got this strong smell I hadn't smelled in like 20 years. So my grandma used to make sassafras tea. And this is sassafras right here. And I just hit one little twig of a tree like this and that smell was just overwhelming. Brings back good memories. So I've pretty much done clearing up here and over here. Now I'm gonna try to clear down this way. A lot of times it's hard to tell on camera, but this is a pretty steep downhill. So I'm confident I can drive backward down it and back up. It's just turning, or if you hit a bump, you really got to be careful with.
This is a box elder, that's what this one is, and this species will take over. So it will literally choke everything out, and that's what we have a lot of the problems down in this bottom here, because we have a big box elder tree on the other end. Well, it started to sprout, and over the years everything's moved up, and since they sprout up from the root system, they just will choke out all the native trees around here. So it's pretty especially if you want to use it for recreation or hunting or anything like that, this is not a species to have in your area, because it will eventually come through and choke everything out. So
you said if you just cut this tree down, it's going to grow right back. If you do this, it's not. Basically, it won't spread out another tree next to it.
Right. So if I was to cut this and use this, just have a stump here, right? So what this would do, everywhere the root system's running, it wouldn't just sprout one tree. It would sprout multiple trees. So you would have just this single big tree here this year, and then in 3 years you'd have 15 or 20 in the area right here close by it, just because of that's the way they grow. I mean, they're survivors. They're hard to kill, very hard to kill, but this is one of the ways that you can actually kill them without using chemicals or using something invasive on your ground. So I do this. It does work. It takes a year or two for it to work, but it does work. Kind of down through here on both sides. That's right about here. But really I need to get all this kind of pushed in and up, just make a pile, and then I want to kind of, as the curve of that hill right there, I want to kind of clean all that out if we can.
Okay.
If you think that'll be an issue.
No, I should be able to do that. I'd probably go around behind and cut a little bit first and then
See where you're at.
See what I can do with this. I mean, I can move all this, I'm pretty sure. You choose where to look, or you just look everywhere,
Yeah,
or
so here's one right here.
let's see how long it takes me to actually see it.
So
I don't see it yet.
it's a small one, but it's there.
Not at all.
You want for me to point it out?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yep.
Right there.
Awesome.
this right here. See this?
Yeah.
This is Japanese honeysuckle. This is what this is. It's an invasive species, and it will choke out and kill everything. When we get up to the top of the hill, you're going to see a lot of it, and it's a big problem. And there's not a lot of good ways to kill it. You see that?
Yeah. What is that?
That's that Japanese honeysuckle. And you can tell it just becomes a mat. So all this back through here is just covered in that. And you can see what it's doing to the trees. See the trees here? This is a good example. Even you go back in here and it just starts choking everything out. I mean, this thing's dead now. So the main tree is dead, but the honeysuckle's doing fine. And then what'll happen is the honeysuckle, the tree will fall. It won't hurt the Japanese honeysuckle. It'll just run across the ground like it's doing here. And you don't realize it until you start looking. But it's everywhere. So it just goes through and it chokes everything out. And it's very, very destructive stuff.
So I tell you what, I really had a good time today. Learned a few things about the plants and the wildlife and the trees in these woods. Got a lot of work done. Well, my tractor took a beating a little bit, but it just keeps on running. I'm so impressed with that machine, honestly. And no matter what I do with it or do to it, 600 hours in and just keeps on going. So I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links over here to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.